Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content. All right, today we're here to talk and do a film breakdown on Dylan Sampson, who kind of feels like the forgotten draft pick, right? Like all the other draft picks that the Browns have had, we've talked a ton about. Dylan Gabriel, a lot of conversation. Shedeur Sanders, no doubt, a lot of conversation is going to be had about him and will be had about him. The Mason Graham pick, we all talked about that a ton. Quincy Junkins, he's an Ohio State player. We talked about that a ton. Carson Schlesinger, Harold Fannin. All these picks have been talked about, but Dylan Sampson kind of falls under the radar because he's the second running back taken. He's also a fourth-round pick, and he happens to be the guy selected right before Shedeur. But there's a reason why the Browns told Shedeur when he was falling, hey, we're going to draft this guy. And then if this guy once we get this guy, we'll come get you. Right? You watch the overtime vlog of Shedeur, and that's literally the Browns told him, we got to get this dude. But once we get this dude, we coming for you. And that is how things happen. So let's try to understand why it is that the Browns felt so strongly about Dylan Sampson. They were willing to, let Shedeur fall through the cracks for them to get him. I think there's a lot of reason the Browns might have felt that way. We can see if those reasons will eventually be justified in the NFL. But let's look at the tape for Dylan Sampson. The number one trait I think Dylan Sampson has is his contact balance, his ability, his motor, and his ability to drive even while contacted to continue to squeak out as many positive yards as possible. Now, will this translate to the NFL? It's a bit more dicey, right? Like it could, it couldn't. But that's what Dylan Sampson, when I watch him, that's what jumps off the tape to me. He's fast, but he's not the fastest. He has great contact balance, but he doesn't have the best in the class. Like this is the part of him now I'm like, okay, he's very slippery. He can fit through tight spaces and he churns those legs constantly. So he's never really caught behind the line of scrimmage. Let's look at this one right here, right? We got a bunch of clips demonstrating this. See how he just fights through the contact, falls forward, like he knows how to fall. So he gets here, he gets contacted, and he rolls his way over the body of the defender. And it might look small, right? But we've seen Jerome Ford, who is the king of not being able to take a hit and go forward. No disrespect to Jerome. Jerome's a good home run hitter, just not every down back, especially if you run it up the middle. And with Dylan, see how he takes the contact here, about 4 yards into the rush, but is able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 4.5, 5 yards extra out of this run just by knowing how to take the contact, right? And this is not a one-time deal. This is the thing you see most often with him, right? Ability to squeeze through tight spaces, churn his legs, fall forward. Another one right here. Tight space, churn, falls forward. Look how many extra yards he gets there, right? It's the small stuff that matters, especially for an offense that wants to stay ahead of the sticks like the Cleveland Browns. See right here, where's the line of scrimmage at? Let's get to the line of scrimmage. Line of scrimmage. So it's about 1 yard in on the half mark. All right. So about right here, he's even with the line of scrimmage. He gets contacted about a yard later. A lot of running backs go down here. It's a 1 yard rush. But look what happens, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 extra yards there, right? That's the difference between third and short and third and long. Right there in that run. Again, you want to see him fall into a tight space. Look at this gap he just squeezes himself into. He's like a little mouse, right? Just squeezes in there, fits into that gap, does a really nice job there. This is against Georgia. Does the same thing against Georgia, right? So you're worried, oh, it's just Chattanooga, dog. He does Georgia's much different than Chattanooga, right? We know some of these guys. By the way, that tackle put some ass whip on 17. But yeah, you see how he churns forward? Just keeps churning. Churn. Get positive yards. This is the kind of little shit a running back does. If he doesn't do, it drives you crazy. But when he does do, you don't really register it. But it's really important, right? 1, 2, 3. He's like, 3 yards when he first gets contacted. And it's It's like 4 or 5 extra yards just by falling forward. Right here. Another one fits into a really tight spot here. Not much of a gap. He's able to fall in there. And then churn with 97 on him. Churn. Still falls forward. Another one here. Tight spot. Falls through it. Gets contacted. And just look at how he churns. Now, this time he actually gets knocked backwards because they get good leverage on him. But still, tight space, churns. That if 74 is in the right spot, he probably is able to help him out there a little bit. This is against Florida. By the way, he balled versus Florida. Again, look at that tight-ass hole he fits into. This is a tight space here. Slips in, rolls. Like the play is not over once he gets contacted. I think that's what the Browns love about him the most, right? This is a guy who, despite his size, 5'8", 200 pounds, can take a lick and roll forward. All right, you see that there. Again, look how many extra yards he gets after the contact. Once he breaks the line of scrimmage, he gets tackled about at the half-yard mark and then gets about 4 extra yards or 3 extra yards there. Another one here where he just breaks tackle. That's a DT on him, right? Slides out of that, rolls forward, keeps churning. These are NFL-sized guys. So the worry with him with this and translating it to the NFL, hey, what about how's this going to be when it's NFL-sized guys? Well, this is the answer to that, right? Contact balance, pretty strong still. This is Florida. They got some of the biggest guys in football right now on that D-line. Another one here where this turns into a touchdown, right? Contact, forward. This dude knows how to fall in space. He can break tackles in space. He slips through tight gaps. Look at that. He can work in a phone booth. Right here. Cuts right there, runs through the tackle, gets contacted by a linebacker, but still just churns forward. Gives his offensive lineman a chance to push him downfield. Look at that effort there. Like, this is a guy, the play is not dead until the whistle sounds. And Browns need that in their running back room desperately. So I like the approach here. Again, goal line set. Just squeeze through the tight hole, right? Another one here where he tries to squeeze through a hole that doesn't even exist. They're just trying to get a first down here or something. But look at the quickness that he has. Rolls out, breaks a tackle, and slides through another one. Gets to play. Another example here versus Chattanooga. Flies through, breaks some tackles, rolls through. Another example here. Just look at that tight space he's navigating through. Just snakes through the gap, and it makes a very lateral cut. His bend is pretty nice as a running back. And then gets upfield, tries to cut back across the guy's face again. And then even once he gets contacted downfield, notice how it's not an easy task to get him on the ground. He's still fighting. Another one here where he takes a hit in the open field, slides off of it from a linebacker, gets north. Another thing I like about him, he gets north often, right? He's not caught behind the line of scrimmage. He gets north. The Browns led the league last year in negative run plays, and they've been leading the league since like 2022 in negative run plays. This has been a big problem with the Browns' run game. They have made it clear with the choice of Quincy and with the choice of Dylan Sampson that they are trying to not lead the league in negative rushes again. Like, that seems to be the philosophy behind a lot of what the Cleveland Browns are doing with their running back room. Because, you know, they got Nick Chubb in there. Nick Chubb is good to get caught behind the line of scrimmage every so often because of how patient of a runner he is. Jerome Ford is good to get caught behind the line of scrimmage. Pierre Strong is good to get caught behind the line of scrimmage. And Deontay Foreman was a non-factor for the team last year. So all of those things combined for a recipe for a lot of guys getting knocked back behind the line. They are putting guys in that room who do not project to be guys who get tackled behind the line of scrimmage much often. Do they have the insane upside of some of these other running backs, like a RJ Harvey or a Travion Henderson or a Jaden Blue, who might get more publicity through the draft process and might make, you know, somebody like me more excited during the draft process? No, that's not what they're going for, right? They're not trying to swing on upside here. They're trying to get somebody who can get to the line of scrimmage and get a couple after that, right? Like, that's what they're trying to do. Lunch pail style run game here, right? It's going to keep the pass game on time, ahead of the sticks, and functional. I think that's really the core of what they want to achieve here. Now let's look at the speed and the quickness with Mr. Sampson, right? Because he's not a slouch. I think he runs high 4.4s, so like a 4.45 or a 4.49 if he ran at the combine. He doesn't have like just run away from everybody's speed, but he has good acceleration, great contact balance, and good cardio. He doesn't really slow down either too during the run. You could catch him if you're super fast, but he's not going to slow down at any point, right? With Quincy's, once he gets about 40, 50 yards into that run, he's going to get a little tired. You're going to see it. With him, he's going to go the same speed, the 21 miles per hour throughout the whole process. Another run here where he gets to break away. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, if it's a 40-yard breakaway, he going to get that, right? This Malachi Starks he's running away from. First-round pick from Baltimore that he ran away from here, right? Like, no slouch. Contact balance, strong. You know, this is Florida that he gets to run away from here. Gets loose. You give him space. Within 40, 50 yards, he going to score. You know, high 4.5. High 4.4 guy, low 4.5 guy. I know he ran a reported 4.44 at the combine. Not the combine, his pro day. I think it's a little bit slower than that official. But he's not slow. You know, gets out here. The quickness is pretty good too. Speed's fine. And then we get to the quickness, right? Ball handed off to him here. Lateral. He's doing this shit to Georgia, dog. You know, this isn't something to sneeze at, right? Able to cut across the grain a couple of times here against Georgia. Not everybody on the football field can do that. Yeah. And get north, and then you see the contact balance stuff again I'm talking about, where he peels out a couple extra yards because he's just really hard to tackle. Just look how fast he makes these two cuts in sequence, right? That's more or less what I'm thinking about here, not really the results of the play. But look at the cuts here, right? This is hard to do. Cut, boom. That's hard to do. Most guys can cut, but then they're not going to be able to reset and then make another explosive cut the opposite way. He has that ability. It's another one with the quickness here, right? Look at the ability to just cut this one wide here. Boom. And the only guy catches him is Malachi Starks that time. Another one here where look at he cuts inside. Pretty cool. So that's the run game stuff with Quid. I mean, not with Quid, with Dylan Sampson. Let's look at some of the pass protection, right? Because that's also going to be a big part of his game if he wants to be a third down back on his football team. Now, the thing with Dylan Sampson that you have to remember is that he played at Tennessee. I'm going to be real with you. Tennessee is not a factory of developing football prospects that do the small things. If you're looking for that kind of polished prospect, a prospect who's going to do the small things and be NFL ready day one, Tennessee is not the place to go shopping. It is just not. That's not what they do there. They run this funky offense. They run a funky defense. And that causes issues when it comes to trying to project these guys to the NFL. So it makes evaluating his pass protection skills a little difficult. Here's what I'll say about him as a pass protector. He is a willing pass protector, but he's not a powerful pass protector. And I wish at times he demonstrated the same power he does in his run in his pass blocking. Because sometimes you just watch him out there and the process is fine, but the power is lacking. Look here, right? It's a play action. He sets up. He finds the backer. He puts hands on him, and that's a fine block. But I think he could have been a bit more powerful and took this guy completely out the play. Instead, he becomes the guy who eventually trips up Nico there and doesn't allow Nico to make a cut against the grain to get an even bigger play out of this. It's right here, right? He gets a little chip here. You got a golden opportunity to be aggressive there. Just not very powerful here in this chip opportunity. Against Georgia. Again, this is what Cash Jones on offense. But 32 walks into this gap. You got him, but you weren't powerful here, right? That's not powerful. Not powerful enough. Because it doesn't really take him off his rush. He gets the back of that towel. Almost gets that was seconds away from being a strip sack right there, right? And you should have made the play there. You should have took 32 out this play for longer than you did. Kind of just touched him. Then it finished the block. Got to finish that one. Got to be more powerful. It's nice that you're willing. You have the good eyes for it, but you got to be more powerful. This one, he just kind of gets lost, and then he sees 94, doesn't do a good job of even trying to do anything to stop him. Quarterback gets crushed. Another one right here, right, where he's on the edge, and it's fine for whatever the play is, but not very powerful. He's got to find a way to be more powerful as a blocker in the NFL, or else it's not going to work. Right, another situation where he wasn't very powerful. But that's not to say that he's not capable of blocking. There's plenty of clips in his tape where he successfully finishes a play, right? This one, he goes low. Got to be careful with this in the NFL. They're going to call chop block here, or they're going to call illegal block here, because you can't go high-low on a guy in the NFL. So you got to be careful with that. But at least you finished the block that time. Right? This one right here, that's the kind of power I'm talking about, right? Sets up on the play action, anchors his ass down, and gets a real push in there. That's all I want. Not asking for you to bull rush somebody or knock somebody into the ground, but give them a nice, powerful, there we go. That's it right there. Again, you want to be at a good base, powerful. That's powerful, right? That's powerful. He gets pushed back a little bit, but you see, he in his way, and see what happens when you're powerful? You get pushed back, you're still in position to block. If you go in weak, you're going to be on the ground, and you're going to be looking at your quarterback on the ground too, wondering how you both got there. But if you're powerful, good things happen. Set, squat, pop. Okay, you're still on your feet. Yeah, he got you a little pushback. He's strong. Still on your feet. Still able to contain him. Good job, right? This is it right here, right? This is you want to see him do this more. It's 50-50 with him. And it leans more to the non-powerful side than the powerful when he's blocking, right? He needs to be this guy 70-30. I understand you ain't going to be 100%, but 70-30, that needs to be the distribution of the powerful on the block. Look at that. Look at that. Look at what just a little bit of power does here. Squats, bam, moves him. Moves him. Number 2, out the way. Nothing to say. That's it. That's it. Right there. Right. Another one here, right? Gets the linebacker. Is he mugging? Is that a linebacker mugging? Yeah, he gets a double mug look from Florida. They sand both through the A, right? So you know the center's got to choose one. You got to peel off the other one. Does a great job peeling off the other backer. Here, right? Boom, boom. And then look at that. Carries to the next guy once he lets the guy get through, because the assumption here is that Nico getting rid of this ball, getting out of there. You're not going to ask him to hold that man down forever. But what he does a good job is he blocks here. And then what I like too, he climbs to the safety and blocks there. Now he could have finished that block off on that safety a bit stronger. But still, I like that. I'll be fine with that, right? Another rep here. And boom. That's all I want. Be a little powerful. I'm not asking you to be Travion Henderson, where you knock Mason Graham on the ground. I'm not asking you to be Lawrence. Was it LaDainian Tomlinson that put Sean Merriman on his ass, or was it Maurice Jones-Drew? Maurice Jones-Drew. I ain't gonna ask you to be Maurice Jones-Drew and put Sean Merriman's ass in the ground. I ain't gonna ask you to do that, right? And I don't think the Browns are gonna ask you to do that. That's not what I'm gonna put the expectation out to my audience. But I do expect you to be an obstacle, right? And this is it. You're not gonna win that battle. That's a 3-tech that you had to step up there and do something about. But slow him down, because you saw what happened there, right? He provided resistance. Boom. Powerful resistance. Again, let's look at how you can be powerful, right? Low, 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 low. All right, put your ass in it. Bam. That slowed him down. And then you know what that gave? You know what that gave his center time to do? Recover. Bam. There we go. He's out to play. He's out to play. Lot to like with Dylan Sampson. I like him a lot more after I've been able to go through more of his tape since the Browns have drafted him. There are upside concerns with him, but he's 20, right? So we don't really know what he is fully physically capable of yet. He's going to have to get a little bit more powerful in the league, I think, in order to play the way that he wants to play. This is why I don't expect him to be much of a contributor in year 1. Maybe even year 2, but in that 3rd year, once he's 22, that's when the weight program should be finished on him. Well, not finished, but, add about 10, 15 more pounds of weight to him. He's sitting at like 215, 220, and I think he could play the way he does with the extra weight. Breakaway speed's not a big part of what he does. It's more about explosion and lateral cut and just being able to be flexible. So as long as he retains that, I think his game will translate well. And in order to be the pocket protector that he needs to be in the league, he needs to get some more weight behind him and also some better coaching for blocking to be a bit more powerful, because I think he just lacks power at times. But that's my thoughts on Dylan Sampson. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have a better night. Peace.